I mean, he's mixed race, I'm mixed race, and he experiences racism and bullying throughout the course of the film, and that has happened to me before, and I can share my story with that. And he's brave. I'd say he's quite brave, and I like to say I'm brave, but some of the things he does is just extraordinary. He has a special love for his mother and his granddad because they're kind of the only people he has. So if you ever need someone to look to, then that's the people he looks to. I mean, I have a special love for my mom and my dad. I mean, I love my granddad as well, but I think that's some of the similarities. I don't think we're that different, if I'm being honest. You know. Saoirse was really like playful. She's my mum in the film, and she was just like a mum on set. And it kind of feels like we were the same age in some way. And even though we had just met each other, it felt like we had known each other for a very long time. And I'm very grateful for the way she treated me. And Steve is he really wants to do this film. And even though that he can be serious at sometimes, he was always leaving room for fun because I was 9, and he was really encouraging, supportive. Like, I could be in a scene and be like, come on George, you could do it, you know. So Steve was just a really nice guy, and so was Saoirse. Saoirse was really nice. Thanks to the stunts crew, they weren't scary, especially some things that look scary on screen. They were really fun, and they supported me, made it fun to do. After shots, we would do a little playing around, and the stunts are probably one of my most favorite things about filming Blitz. So we had the lanyards, and all the time people were wearing jackets, so I could get a lanyard with a crocodile clip and stick it on their jacket and see how long it would take for them to notice that they have a tail, and that's something I really enjoy doing. So obviously the film is about racism, what people experienced during World War II, and how we should all stick together in times like that. And I think they should just exactly take that moral of the story, that in times we need each other, and we should always stick to each other and respect each other, you know?
Hope and realization that there are possibilities to have somewhat of a peaceful world. This story is all about love and a boy looking for love, you know, and us seeing a war from his perspective. So I hope that people are inspired and are up for changing the world. Yeah. I mean, I'm a newcomer myself, see, so it was a bit of a new experience for me myself. And you know, Elliot is he's a talented, young, gifted artist. I never felt that I was acting when I was acting with him, which was a very great thing to experience. And yeah, I mean, I'm not only looking out to see what he's going to do in the near future. It's extraordinary. I met him a couple of years ago, and he had a different plan for us. But I'm so happy that, you know, this worked out. I'm very much into the history of England, UK, and the world. And so when he came out with the character, when he told me about the character of Hefffernan, I was like, let's go for it. And I practiced and did my work, and here we are. I mean, you've said what it represents. It's a historic event, a place that is of major importance to all of us. Obviously, it was bombed here, so we have all the remnants of war here as some sort of a souvenir for all of us to see it, so that we don't repeat ourselves again.
Again, it's an absolute dream come true. I was saying that I wrote him on the list as a director to work with in my career at a very young age, and the fact that now I'm here just shows that whatever you put your mind to, you can accomplish and you can achieve it. So yeah, just don't stop. So again, I think for him, he's from the Windish generation. So obviously back when, as a black person, you couldn't go into certain clubs. So the fact that he was allowed and connected with Rita, Saoirse Ronan's character, shows that it's more about skin color. It's not about skin color. It's more about personality and soul, which hence why Elliot was born. A beautiful, beautiful boy who's gone on a beautiful journey to now find his mum. So yeah, it was really important to portray this character on screen. Learned on the job. So literally heard about it, but never really did my research. And then once Steve McQueen gave us some information to research on, really found it interesting. Obviously what Hitler done, his mind, but then also what the kids went through or what they had to go through, and how that affected the mothers, and just the whole of London in itself. So I learned a lot about parenthood, love, strength, and resilience. Oh, Saoirse's a blessing to work with. She's so down to earth, caring, and just a real person. It's really hard to find real people in the industry, and the fact that she was real and genuine herself was a blessing. Elliot, superstar. 9 years old, being able to pour out that emotion at that young age, just says a lot about his talent, and he's got a great future ahead of him.
Well, I think it was a deliberate decision to wait for London on this movie on our behalfs. And I think this particular movie premiering here in the heart of London, where you think just up there is where those planes are coming, and just over there was, or right here was where we were being bombed, and we're within probably half a mile of where we shot the movie, the main street for the movie. So it's absolutely the right place for it. And yeah, so that feels good, I think. Steve asked me 3 or 4 years ago if I'd like to produce a movie, and it's unusual for a working title to do a movie that we haven't sort of started and developed and all the rest of it, but we felt that he's a filmmaker who we admired hugely, and felt that it would be great to make a movie with him and to hopefully start a producing relationship with him. He's one of our very best, so it's a sort of honor to work with him. And also it's a very interesting journey. We've worked with many directors over the years, and to see the world through Steve's lens, which is a very unique one, being that he's an artist, being that he's a great filmmaker, and being that he's a black man, is a really interesting journey. I think before we started the movie, it was relevant. in that, you know, to remind ourselves of what the city went through, and also to remind ourselves that actually civilians get caught up in warfare. Very sadly, that's going on in places around the world right now, and subsequent to when we started making the film. And I think then there's a thing in the movie which we wanted to do, which is to say that ultimately the human spirit prevails and that things will be okay in the end. And here we are in this magnificent city. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I think it's fun. It's a little eclectic in parts, and to see Benjamin, to see Paul Weller, to see these people, and of course the main thing is to find this child who's absolutely brilliant and was born to play this part. So it's a great thing. And Saoirse, obviously, I've known since she was a kid, so it's great to have her leading the pack.
It means a lot. I mean, it means a lot because, I've been very fortunate to debut films in Cannes and Venice and Telluride and Toronto and et cetera, et cetera. This film for me had to be premiered here. I mean, look, I was lucky enough that they wanted to premiere here first of all. I mean, this site is where, bombs, landed and exploded. The bridge right there, a very large explosion happened. So to be here premiering this film couldn't be more apt. Could never be more apt than this. Well, it was kind of in the script. It was kind of like trying to sort of conjure up, it was what would happen. And to sort of represent it on screen, it was a very sort of organic, how can I say, way of sort of working, because it's a 9-year-old child, a mother, him being evacuated. It creates a lot of, how can I say, emotions. Well, so many things, but the actual initiator at the end of the day was a photograph of this boy, this black boy, standing on a railway station with a large suitcase waiting to sort of be evacuated. I mean, and I wanted to know who he was, but also I wanted to know, in a way, what he saw, how he experienced the Blitz. Well, Paul brings a kind of authenticity. He's a man of conviction, and I just thought he had an amazing face, and that he will be able to act. So I was grateful that he took up the role, and a little bit of persuasion, and what a job! What an amazing job he did.
It feels special, yeah. In my hometown, such a brilliant company, of course. Steve's, an icon of cinema. So to be here in one of his products and company is amazing. It's a real special feeling, yeah. Particularly because the film's about working class family and mother and son. So yeah, really lovely. I play Jack, who is the neighbour of Saoirse. He's a firefighter, so I had to go on a massive journey learning about that element of the period and understanding what that meant to take part in that and be called upon that at a time like that. But yeah, I mean, he's really a supporting character, and yeah, just lucky to be in the company of these guys, yeah. I mean, he's a stickler for authenticity. He really went on a very specific journey with the historical accuracy of the film. I think he was really concerned with depicting a story amongst a tumultuous time that stayed true to the family element of it as well, and the reality of what was going on, amongst the tragedy, and to highlight that racism and yeah, he's the best man for this. He's done a beautiful job. Yeah.
Hope, should we say, is that people watch it and maybe strike up a conversation, and let's have a little look at, have we really learned anything from back then? Things very similar today. We have wars and atrocities going on all around us, and I think hopefully this film will maybe help us reflect a little bit more and get in touch with our humanity a little bit more, because that's the message of it. There's always hope, and that's what Elliot, that's what George gives us, hope.
I guess I learned on the job. I knew the kind of cursory stuff. We all grow up with it, don't we? Especially in this country, at school, and the Blitz, especially. And Yeah, it was just an amazing thing to learn about, to read in Steve's script, and the way it kind of mixes the domestic and the epic, you know, like it's hard to avoid, but it's at the core there's this mother-son, you know, and it's all about that. But like you say, it's ordinary London is against the backdrop of this unbelievable war, literally. Yeah, working with Steve McQueen was just like a dream, really. You know, he is an artist with a capital A. You know, I've always been a fan of his work, even before, you know, when the Turner Prize, etc. and etc. I mean, just winning the Turner Prize casually. So that was really dreamy, you know, someone who really respects and really enjoys his actors, you know, and that's what you want as an actor. So to work with someone like that is genuinely a dream. Yeah, oh, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, they've just got such quality, obviously, and if they can attract someone like Steve, I mean, no brainer. And I mean, I personally think Severance is one of the greatest things that's ever been made. So that's Apple. So why not come to the same house that did that, you know? So yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so obviously got sent a script through for an audition to play the role of Mickey Davis, whose story I hadn't actually heard of before. So when I found out it was based on a real person, obviously did a bit more research on him, and what a guy. And such an honor to be able to play him on the big screen. And I was kind of a bit outraged that I hadn't heard of him before that. Like, he's someone that should have been taught about in school, and hopefully this film, you know, makes people more aware of him and what he did for us. But, well, I was very briefly working on it. It was all a bit of a whirlwind, but the whole thing was fantastic. I mean, Saoirse was just absolutely lovely, like really, really fun to work with. Yeah, and I think our favourite moment was probably in the bomb shelter, where we're being bombed and we're singing a song. Song from Jaws as well, so that was a bit of a cool little thing for me. That showed me the way to go home. But yeah, probably that, just with everyone around all singing the song, just in that moment of trying to raise everyone's spirits. Yeah, I mean, that immediately was a very exciting prospect. And yeah, I think he's a bit of a genius, and it was incredible getting to work with him. And just what a lovely guy too, like meeting him like in the lead up to doing the film. Just his passion for this story was inspiring. Well, I think there's a lot of problems going on in the world right now, and I mean, hopefully it'll help people, like inspire people to maybe pull together and try and help out other people as well. Yeah, I think there was a lot of community spirit and volunteering and inspiring people around London during those times. So yeah, hopefully it'll inspire people to help out where it's needed at the moment.
It's wonderful. You know, Steve was saying today that a bomb went off just in front of here during the time, obviously during the period before this building was here, and that kind of brought home how lucky we actually were and we are to be here today. Do you know what I mean? In many ways, so it's wonderful to, you know, it's a wonderful achievement, and it's a huge honor to be premiering our film here. It's lovely. Of course, and it's also, you know what, like I've said before, we've seen a few films made about the Blitz, and obviously during that time period, I watched a load with me nana, you know, on a Sunday afternoon, of black and white versions of "Oh blimey, Governor, let's a cup of tea and let's stick together," which, you know, is very poignant. And also in that same respect, I just feel this particular film is told from a different perspective, and we get to see it through a different kaleidoscope. Do you know what I mean? It's just great, you know, and again, that's the kind of, when you work with Steve, there's no ego, and he has a beautiful way of making everyone feel a part of the process, because in that respect, as well as a director, he kind of opens up the floor and creates an atmosphere for us to play. But it's kind of the best idea on the day wins. Now, that can be from one of the actors, that can be from a costume department, from the DOP, you know, whatever serves the scene the most is what he'll go with. And for someone, have you seen the film? Well, Paul Weller's fantastic. He's absolutely brilliant. Honest to God, he is. He just has this beautiful presence and this great charisma, and he's never acted before. And to me, he epitomizes that whole working class ethos of that time period. You know what I mean? That working man, that man who's struggling to raise his family. He's lost his wife, and his daughter's taken over the household, and he plays it beautifully. He just plays it so honestly and so openly. He took me for dinner, and we met. We had a lovely conversation. And he said, "I'm doing this film. There's a really small role which I'd love you to look at." And I was like, "There's no such thing as small roles. There's only small actors." So that's what Stanislavski says. And it was just an honor and a joy to work with him. He's someone who I've always wanted to work with, who I hugely admire. I love his work, and I think he's a wonderful man. And hopefully, long may this continue. It's fantastic. It really is. Honestly, as you do your job, and you're not sure who's going to see it. When you do independent films, you don't really know what kind of audience you're going to reach. Whereas, one of the huge benefits of something like Apple, that it's going to be in a lot of living rooms. So now it's up to those people to turn it on and watch it. And I just hope, personally, my own personal.
It's amazing. It just feels like it's such a celebration of London and how far the city has come, and how it's really taken the people on the ground to get it to where it is now. And that is really what the movie's about. It's about community coming together against all odds. It's about finding those moments of joy and unity and love. That's really what this is. It's like the Second World War is the backdrop to a family drama, essentially, and that's who we care about and that's who we're following. So yeah, I'm just really excited for people to see it. Did Paul, what the thing is about Paul, he's so modest. So I remember when we went into Abbey Road to record it, and he was like, "Oh, what was that bit again?" And I'd be like, "It's this." I was like such a teacher's pet. I was like, "We do it like this, then we do it like this, Paul. Okay, let's do it again." But no, he was just very supportive. He was great. It was great. I mean, I've sang a couple of times in movies over the years, but the first one was in the very first movie that I did that no one saw, and then the other one was a tiny film that Ryan Gosling directed, which not many people saw either. So I've always really loved it, but it does make me really nervous. So I did lots of vocal lessons ahead of time with an incredible vocal coach, and that was really my main prep for the movie. We didn't rehearse that much, so that was kind of my way into the character, and I loved it. It was great. It was incredible. I'm a huge fan of his. I was about to take a break that year because I'd been working steadily through the whole year, and I said to my agent, the only way I will go back to work is if Steve McQueen is making a movie and I can audition for it, and that's exactly what happened. So I feel very privileged to be a part of this film. I was really excited about the idea of playing someone who had a child. I value my relationship with my mother so much, and the fact that not only I was getting to bring that to life on screen, but that was going to be the main focus of a film set during the Second World War excited me. It was so fresh, it was so unique. Unfortunately, this is the kind of story that should have been told more, but the fact that we're one of the first to do that is just, it feels very special.
I think it's amazing, it's super iconic, and like I've said before in other interviews, to do with this story, I think it's a pleasure to be a part of such a new telling of that time. I think the level of integration and diversity that's been brought to this film, I think, is very different and unique to any other one. So I think to be able to do a film like this and be in such an amazing building, it really just feels like a correction of time and able to be telling it this way. It was so amazing. I feel like when I got the job, I was very overwhelmed, and this is my first biggest job that I've had. But working with him, he's just an amazing man. He's such, like you said, a visionary, and it lived up to everything I wanted it to be, and it just challenged you, but also gave you a lot of validation for knowing that your career is progressing in the way you want it to. But he's insane and he knows what he wants, and he also puts a lot of faith in you to be able to deliver as well. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like I said, I'm so overwhelmed to be a part of such an amazing cast, but I felt like everyone was made very secure by Steve to know that you have been given these characters to tell this story. And I think all of us became very comfortable with knowing that, and then therefore working together, we were able to tell it as best as we could and also bring each character to life in our own way that Steve thought worked best for every single one of us. So yeah, it was amazing. I think a lot of this stuff with the script, it was kind of telling for itself, all the different things they've got to battle, but I felt like you can, even though if it's so drastic and it's a completely different time period that I've never experienced, I feel like you have to bring a level of whatever you've had in your life, a bit of resilience you've had to show, and just bring it onto a bigger scale. And I think it was ways of adapting that and, you know, looking into your own truths and knowing how you can tell that throughout the story.
Yeah, so I play Agnes. She is a colleague of Rita's. She's born and bred in the East End of London, and she works in the munitions factory. I'd say she's kind of the symbol of the kind of voice of the working class in the film. She's kind of not happy with the way things are run, and she kind of stages a protest against the government to open up the air raid shelters, because she feels that there's a bit of a gulf between the class system, and in the war at the moment. Yeah, I mean it was tough to get in that mindset, because I think, you know, it's easy to sit here because we're quite sheltered from a lot of conflict. I feel, but I mean it was fascinating to kind of read these people's, and I think there's not been many movies that really do focus on the domestic side of it, like from the citizens kind of point of view, and I think that's really that's really what kind of tugs people's heartstrings, or like really gets to the nitty-gritty of like how people were dealing with it. Yeah, I mean they're everyone's fantastic. I mean, yeah, there was a moment on set where my character, she handles a lot of like heavy machinery, and this is actually a Steve story, but my character has to have like really certain amount of makeup, and only Steve knew in his head really like how he wanted that, and he ended up doing my makeup on set, and I was like, how the only director that gets so hands-on like that. I thought that was excellent, because his attention to detail is just second to none, and I'm really into that. I like it. It makes it seem more like a collaborative process as well. Yeah, when everyone's hands-on, as they were in the war. mucking in. Yeah.